everyone, Eric with Rocket H. In this video, I want to show you how I'm solving a problem that I have with one of the trailers that I've had designed. And we're going to start with this 24-foot Mauer. So the problem that I've had is I didn't design these files originally, and the designer did a fabulous job. So the original file has been modified to what you see here. However, there's one request I forgot to make. These taillights right here, while they are accurate and very good, what I've discovered is when I go to assemble these and add taillight detail, to use a paint pen or something of that nature is really difficult because if you don't have a really steady hand, it's easy to get paint where you don't want it and and it's hard to make a really good circle to shade all that in properly and make it look really cool. And what I discovered was if I make a cylinder and then put a little hollow piece in there, then you can just fill the hollow piece with paint. And then another fella suggested after the paint's dry, you can take a chrome pen and then outline the edge of the cylinder and make it look really cool. So how are we going to do this? I'm in Tinkercad, so this is a free software. Anyone can use it. I'm going to grab this cylinder right here. And you notice how it has all these sides on it. I'm going to increase the sides to 64 from 32 or whatever it was. And it just makes this smoother, makes my cylinder smoother. And at the size of this cylinder, you're probably never going to notice the sides anyway, because I'm only going to make this 2 millimeters in diameter. First thing we're going to do is change the height from 20 millimeters, and I'm clicking that square, I'm typing in what I want. Then I'm going to make my cylinder, drag that out a little bit more, or zoom out, 2 millimeters there, 2 millimeters here. Then I'm going to move this with my arrow keys so I can work on it. Next, I want to flip it on its side. Whoops. And you click those arrow keys there, and then you can choose how many degrees you want it to be turned, and I chose 90. I'm going to zoom in again. Now, to make the hollow piece that I spoke of, I'm going to duplicate this cylinder. I'm going to move this out. Actually, move it there so I can see it. I'm going to change it to transparent. And that'll be important in a moment. Next, I'm going to change the side from 2 millimeters to 1.5 in diameter. And 1.5. Made a mistake. I need to undo that last move to 1.5. Okay. Now we can see that our two cylinders are very much different. Now I'm going to use this align function right here to make these centered. So now these two cylinders are in perfect alignment. I'm just going to move this so now we made this transparent cylinder 1.5. So I'm going to move this to where it is 1 millimeter inside the orange cylinder. Now, to make the hole so I have this little space where I can fill in with paint. Now I'm going to select both of these items and I'm going to use the group feature. Now look what happened here. I now have a hollow space that I can fill with paint. Next, I need to align this with each one of these three taillights. And I'm just using the arrow keys on my keyboard to move that around. Next, I'm going to move this cylinder up and down. Now, down here in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, you see it says 1 millimeter. You can change how finite you can move the objects. So right now, every time I use my arrow key or I grab the object and I move it up or down, it's going to move 1 millimeter. I'm going to turn that off so I have precise movement of my object. So I'm just going to move this down a little bit. See? Next, I'll move this into the trailer like so. And you can see it's just barely starting to come out the front side of that mud flap hanger. Okay. Now I'm going to make a copy of this item and move it over with my arrow key. And then watch what happens when I hit my duplicate button again. It moves it automatically right where I want it to go. Although it wasn't perfect, it's pretty darn close. Let's zoom in a little more. I'm going to move that ever so slightly again. You can see there's remnants of the old tail lights still on there, but you're not going to see this on the printed item because these are so small. It just won't be. If it is noticeable, it's going to be negligible, and you're going to have to be right up on it to see any of this other leftover tail light. What you will see is this, which is exactly what we want. Now, we have to do this on the passenger side. So I'm going to select all three. I'm holding my shift key, and with my left mouse button, I'm clicking each one of those to select them all. I'm going to group these items. So now all three cylinders are one object. Then I'm going to copy them. I'm going to move my plane over so I can see everything well. I'm going to switch from off to 1 millimeter so these will move quickly. I'm using my arrow keys to slide them over. Now see, all three objects are moving in one time. Now we'll zoom in like so. And voila, they look like they're right where they're supposed to be. So now when I print this, and if you buy one or I use one, I can take paint and fill this spot in right here on all 6 of them. And then when the paint's dry, I can come back with, say, a Molotow chrome pen. I could use a silver Sharpie. And on this outside edge, I can actually give that a little color to make it look like a real taillight now. Pretty cool, huh? So this is just one of the many things you can do with Tinkercad. Very powerful, and the price is right. And if you're learning, this is a super easy program to learn to do basic things. Again, I did not design this original file. The original file was designed by one fellow, and then another guy came and says, "Hey, Eric, can I make it a single axle and make it a little different?" I'm like, "Of course, please do." All right. Thanks for watching. If you learned something, share it, pass it on to a friend. See ya.